World Financial Group offers entrepreneurs from all backgrounds the opportunity to start their own business on a level playing field. Dr. Yana Woodhouse, receiving the WCM Wall Street Pioneer Award by the United Black Wall Street of America, Inc., is one of those entrepreneurs.
I see WFG and TFA as a place where African Americans with an entrepreneurial mindset can flourish. And the bonus, we help families and serve the communities across the country.
To learn more about us, go to worldfinancialgroup.com.
We are the sons and daughters of the soul. We are resilient and forever forward-thinking. We ask for nothing else than the opportunity to live and to create the lives that we were meant to live. We want nothing but an equal chance at options and possibilities. The same possibilities and options to live out our potential as our fellow man. We want to be heard, understood, and expressive in our reality. We are the future. We are the creative. We are here.
This is Kia Rogers, and you're listening to Urbanology with my dad, Tony Rogers, on WHCR 90.3 FM New York.
Good afternoon. Tony Rogers here, your host for Urbanology, the Art of War. And for the new viewers, the term the Art of War comes from really my birth name is William Anthony Rogers. My mom, who's in heaven, always smiles when I say that she told me once Tony wasn't on my birth certificate, so remind people what your real name is, because if they see it, they might not recognize who you are. But nevertheless, thank you for coming on and viewing today. It's a beautiful day, and I love the second Tuesday of the month because I'm able to share the show with Charlene De La Cruz, the director of the CU Grow program at Columbia University, which works with all types of different businesses who have a direct and indirect relationship with the construction business, because Columbia, as many know who are here in Harlem, Columbia is going to be in the construction business for many, many years to come. So many of the companies that are involved in this program can, in many cases, create generational wealth. I thought it was appropriate to invite our first guest on this particular program. One, because I know a lot of business owners watch this particular program to get information about what's happening with the construction business and what's happening with City College, which is my home, what's happening with Columbia University business opportunity wise. And I say that is because the gentleman that I'm going to introduce is a person who I've been impressed with him from the first time I met him. and there are many reasons. One, many years ago, I was an intern with Hope R. Stevens, who was one of the legal founders or part of that group of men who developed Carver and the United Mutual Life Insurance Building, which is where the chamber was in for a certain period of time. So I know the history of the bank. And for this person who I'm going to introduce you to now to be the president, it's something that I know Hope in Heaven is smiling down, but he's a person who's not like many um, bank presidents that I've met, and many people have never met any. Uh, he gave me his card once, and it had his cell number on it, which made me understand that he is a different type of a person as relates to what we would consider to be the head of one of the historic banks, not only in Harlem, but throughout New York. So please welcome my first guest, Mr. Michael T. Pugh.
Hey, good afternoon, Tony. Thank you so much for having me on the show today.
Well, it's a pleasure, sir. As I often tell people, when you gave me your card and I saw your cell number on it, that's when I decided that I was going to open up an account in Carver because I knew that if I really had a problem, I know how to get to the president. And that was,
That's right.
you know, people say, "You did what?" And I said, "Yeah."
Yeah.
But tell us a little bit about yourself, sir, while we have some time, and then, of course, about some of the things that Carver offers to small businesses.
Sure. So I've been with Carver Federal Savings Bank now for approximately 10 years. Time has really flown by fast. I spent two-thirds of my career at two of the largest financial institutions in our nation in various roles. And I'm a native of Detroit, Michigan.
Okay.
Um, my experience oftentimes, just as a young adult, was with a family of healthcare providers. And so I thought that, there was a strong chance that I too would go into the healthcare field. And I remember many conversations at the dinner table where I would hear, my family members discuss patient care and the importance of it. And so somewhat of the paradigm for me was that the road to a successful career is all about service and making sure that you are helping others. And in doing so, you could not only be able to make a living, but you'd be able to make a difference and change someone else's life for the better. So as I was pursuing my education, undergrad education there in Michigan, I took a shot at the healthcare sector. I was a physical therapy assistant for a while, working as an understudy with a licensed physical therapist and doing it in geriatric PT. What I quickly learned is that as a young adult, especially in geriatric PT, that it was a little bit close to the reality of the circle of life. We're all here for such a short time frame, and it's
Hmm.
really important what we do while we're here. And while I loved the opportunity in geriatric PT to help be the highlight for many of my patients' day, they looked forward to their physical therapy, they looked forward to the activity. I dreaded the times when I come back to work and a patient was no longer there. So I sought to find something else that would give me that same sense of reward that I found and was reminded of from the dinner tables of hearing my family members talk about patient care. And frankly, I stumbled across it, took on a role as a part-time teller while continuing to support myself through college. And I would pay very close attention to the conversations that were happening at the desk and the look of relief that would happen when customers had a solution, whether it was their first time home that they were going to be purchasing, or debt consolidation, college education, the ability to pay for it. Any of those major milestones, that look of relief was the same look that I saw in many patients' faces in the healthcare sector when they knew that they had been properly cared for and a solution was offered to help remedy whatever the concern was. So I felt strongly that I could take a shot at it, and in
Mm.
terms of really continuing to make finance an important part of my career, and wanted to be a part of being at the desk where I can help come up with those solutions. And I'll tell you, 30 years later, here I am today, still playing a role in those solutions and looking for those moments where we can play an important role in terms of the glimmer and excitement in a customer's eyes when we've come up with a way to help support their goals that they want to achieve.
What are the two organizations that you worked with before you became president of Carver?
Yeah. So it's with a bank called Citizens Financial Group, which now has a relatively large presence here in New York City. At the time when I was a part of them, they were owned by the Royal Bank of Scotland. And so
Mm.
I was working for what they loved to say at that period was the largest bank in the world because of the international ownership. And it really gave me an incredible opportunity to understand more about, international banking, you know, a number of things on the business banking side, I think originated from the exposure and opportunity there. And then Capital One, I spent about 5 years there. And what was really fascinating there is the number of extraordinarily smart people that were on the data science side,
Mm.
helping better understand how you can reach customers and use information that you have to better deliver solutions for them that ultimately would help them achieve their financial goals. But I think the nuance in here, I would say, is that being at Carver, it allows me an incredible opportunity to be
Mm.
closely connected to the community and the customers in a very different way. And when you mentioned that you had my cell phone number on the business card, to me that feels very natural because the spirit of community banking is to create accessibility. People choose us because they want to have access to decision makers that can quickly help them navigate through any financial situation that they're trying to solve for.
Tell the viewers, some may not know about Carver, or not so much the history, but some of the things that you feel that are important now that has allowed for Carver to develop under your leadership, and where you are and where you would like to go.
Yeah. Well, it certainly has been an interesting journey. I've been with the bank for 10 years now, and I can tell you we've spent an incredible amount of time over that 10 years listening to what our customers in our community have said that they needed and being responders there. One of the key things that I would say is that we are a community development financial institution, a CDFI. So those institutions are designated by the United States Treasury, and they have a different responsibility relative to your typical bank that you might think of, the bank that you would perhaps see on every corner, or some of the larger brand names. As a CDFI, Community Development Financial Institution, we reinvest 80 cents of every dollar that we have on deposit in the communities that we serve. So if you are a person that is socially conscious, you care about seeing your neighborhoods grow and feeding that ecosystem, then Carver's a great place for you to bank and support. And what I often say to many of our customers is that while we would love to be your bank for everything, we also understand that you have many choices. And we're happy with being one of your choices, of course, a primary one, but we're happy with being one of your choices of your many financial institutions. The average consumer household has about 7 financial institutions that they do some form of business with. It ranges from their credit cards to their mortgage to their car payment, et
Mhm.
cetera. So we're happy with being one of those choices, and knowing that by having a banking relationship with us, what you're really doing is helping to support the communities in terms of access to capital for small businesses, jobs at a localized level. Those are all things that are very, very important. Again, 80 cents of every dollar gets reinvested in the communities that we serve.
Well, I know from my own personal experiences working with you, whether it's with the chamber or during Harlem Week, how you have been doing so much from what I have seen with my own eyes rather than conversation. And one of the things also that's recent, and there's some other things about what took place during the pandemic and some of the special programs you have for small businesses as far as funds, needed funds. But I know that you have developed a program, a pitch program for women in business, and I've been able to experience a number of them because you're doing it with the chamber and there's some connections there. But I just felt that that was a very inspirational move because you don't always see that as far as banks leading that type of a charge.
Sure, sure. We consider ourselves to be the premier bank, premier community bank for minority and women business entrepreneurs throughout the Northeast region of our country. And we back that with the results, the sweat equity that's put into helping to support minority and women business entrepreneurs. And there's a few key things there, Tony, that I think are so important for us all to be conscious and understand. One is that we have a incredible opportunity to improve the nation's overall GDP by simply focusing on closing the wealth gap. And in doing so, that means that as one of the critical steps, we must all be engaged and support small business entrepreneurs. Small businesses are the backbone for our country. So then when you peel back the layer a bit more, here's what we know. Women entrepreneurs are some of the fastest growing segments or the fastest growing segment in our nation. Black women are the second fastest growing segment of entrepreneurs within our nation. And approximately 35% of Black businesses today are owned by women. And so, when you consider this fact, and then you think about another really, really important thing, which is about 1% or less than 1% of most Black businesses actually get access to a loan within their first year.
Hmm.
But, so as a community bank, we know that our primary objective is help get access to capital out there and look at it in a creative way that doesn't rely on the traditional norms of how decisions are made about access to capital. And by doing that, we can play our role and contribute to the overall improvement in the nation's GDP.
Well, very interesting. I know some of the women who have gone through that program. The selection was obviously one that took a lot of time because there's so many and we just don't understand it and see them.
Yeah, yeah.
But again, and I was also, and not to put you on the spot, but I also was part of a meeting that you said that you were going to look to enhance the things that you do for these women who come into this program and do a pitch and win. So
Yeah, yeah.
that
Well,
should be great.
so in concert with the Greater Harlem Chamber of Commerce, we have an annual roundtable with women entrepreneurs to learn more about what's needed. And all roads typically lead to the need for capital and the need for technical assistance in terms of resources.
Mhm.
So what you signaled, Tony, we launched the green energy business pitch for women of color last year. We were very excited about it. We were able to help two women-owned businesses be able to have additional access to capital for making changes in their business. One moved to biodegradable packaging, and the other one transferred their catalog from paper-based to digital. These are all things that are making a difference and improving the overall efficiency and cost of those businesses. This year, we had our second annual roundtable discussion, and we heard more about the need beyond just the capital. Capital, again, continue to be important, but the need for technical assistance to think about marketing, to think about ways to be able to improve the finance and accounting controls, legal review of documents. And so we're going to be spending some more time with larger firms, calling on them and asking them to continue to be a part of these annual business pitch competitions. And of course, there's more work that needs to be done. This is only just the start, frankly.
Well, it's a great start. Uh, could you let the listeners know where they can find a branch, and is there a website? I'm not going to even allow for you to give your your personal stuff on television, but let people know how they might be able to find the bank that we're talking about. Now that
Yeah, well, look,
interest.
it's easy. Carverbank.com. Carverbank.com. We've done some incredible work, and it's really been the efforts of my team. We are now in 9 states, from Massachusetts to Virginia, including Washington, D.C. If you're interested in opening an account, and if you're super interested in supporting small business entrepreneurship, Carver's the home for you. So carverbank.com. I also should mention that we established an incredible partnership with JP Morgan Chase and Wells Fargo that now allows our customers to use their ATMs at no cost. We're one
Okay,
of the few
I didn't
banks.
know that.
Well, that's why I'm here. We're one of the few banks in the Northeast region of our nation to be able to say, especially a community bank, that we now have access to 78,000 ATMs. You don't have a reason not to bank with us at this point. We've addressed convenience, we're making an impact in the communities, and we've got all the digital bells and whistles that our larger financial institution partners have.
And I have to give a shout out to Fernando Carcoma from the 116th Street branch. There's no way that I could say that I was talking to the president and not give him his due, because he has helped me tremendously doing a number of things. So I have to give a shout out to him as one of the people. All of the people I've met in Carver has always been great. But Fernando, who also gave me his cell, and I said, "Wow, you following some leadership, because that hasn't happened again." He might be sorry that he did that, but he did it anyway. You did a lot of work during COVID, helping businesses kind of come back. Talk a little bit about that.
Sure. Well, first of all, that was an incredibly tough time for us all, and so many were impacted. We we consider ourselves to have been financial first responders. What we saw is that the current administration worked vigorously to roll out a number of programs and initiatives at the federal level that would ultimately support small businesses, everyday Americans that were filled with uncertainty and struggling financially while navigating through perhaps one of the scariest times that our world has seen. And we knew that as a community bank, it was very important for us to get involved. And so the Paycheck Protection Program was one of many programs that we supported. We also gave volunteer service and time to help out at food banks and pantries so that everyday households could have access to food. And we were pleased to have done that. The Paycheck Protection Program, namely, that was a really big one because we were able to provide more than $50 million in capital to small businesses to help them keep their doors open. We heard devastating statistics, things like more than 40% of Black-owned businesses were at the brink of closing or did in fact close their doors because of the pandemic. So getting that access to capital out there to minority businesses, we saw as one of the very important things that we needed to be a part of. And Tony, I'll tell you, the story is bigger than just the dollar amount of the capital. The other important thing is that more than 5,000 jobs were preserved within greater New
Mm.
York City by us being able to respond in the way that we did. And that means that everyday Americans, households, were able to still keep the lights on and put food on the table because of the job preservation component there. I can think of many examples of when, because it was all hands on deck, I was calling customers and reaching out to them along with every member of my team to get their application in the system and be able to move forward. And many people would say, wait, you're the president of the bank and you're calling me to help me get my application in the system. And I would say to the customers, yes, but let's talk about that later. We're up against the clock and I've got to get this application in the system before this money runs out. So I'm very proud on the other end to know that we are part of a financial institution that's been around for 75 years. And we lead with a conscience, which is to first care about our communities and ensure that we can help drive economic development and growth in the communities that we serve.
Well, I know that many people, many who may even be watching this show, feel that banks may not be the best place to keep your money and go into investments and other things. But what I want you just to repeat one more time for those who have to put money in the bank at some place, what happens if they put money in your bank as it relates to community development? I think
Yeah,
that's worth repeating.
absolutely. Well, the first thing I would say is just remember that the money is insured and safe. And we have a number of ways to insure deposits above that $250,000 mark. But on top of that, 80 cents of every dollar we have on deposit gets reinvested in the communities that we serve. That's a really important point there.
It's a very, very important thing because if you have to look at money that you have, you might have some people, like Matt McCoy's of the world, they have enough money that they could maybe put a couple of thousand, there just to know that that money it may not be working for itself, but it could be working for the community in many cases. But you brought up a point, and we have about 5 more minutes, but I just want you to just comment on this as relates to I mean, we hear Silicon Hollow. We hear about some of these small banks that are beginning to have difficulties. What's your read on that, and how are you preparing Carver to ride that wave?
Yeah, yeah. So I think there was at least a couple of things. One is that when we heard that we've all heard of the two recent bank failures, and these were relatively large financial institutions. And it goes without saying is that there were some operational controls or things that perhaps may have been missed. And of course, it's easy from my seat to Monday morning quarterback. And so I want to be careful that I'm not coming across in any way that is doing exactly that. What I would say for us is that we are a safe and sound organization because we manage very tightly uh, the operational controls of the institution. Our board of directors is very much involved, but we're also hyper local. During one of the most recent announcements of a bank failure, I can tell you that on the Sunday, the day of the announcement, we were calling some of our largest deposit customers, and we were reminding them what's different about us, that we don't get into exotic or complicated investment structures and vehicles. We were reminding them that our dollars or their deposits are reinvested in the communities that we serve, and reassuring them that there were a number of ways that they could have their deposits FDIC insured above the $250,000 limit. I think it's the combination of those things and the feedback we heard from a number of our customers that said, you've actually taken the time to call us to provide reassurance, and we haven't heard from some of our other financial institutions. So it goes back to where you started, Tony. The ability to have access to a person that can be in a decision making role and help you navigate. Accessibility is very, very important on our end, and we think that's the essence of what it means to really be a community bank that's trying to make a difference.
And can you tell us where your branches are again, so that people can know? Because people are watching this from across the country, so just want
Yeah,
to make
yeah.
sure.
Well, first, I would always tell people check us out on carverbank.com, because now the online world gives you access to banking no matter where you are and what you're doing. You can bank on the go. But we do have 7 branches. 4 are in Brooklyn, 2 are in Uptown Manhattan in the Harlem area, 125th Street and
116th Street.
160th Street. And we've got 1 in the historic St. Albans, Queens area as well. So total of 7 branches. But carverbank.com, get access, and you can bank anywhere you want to while you're on the go.
Well, again, thank you so much for taking time out of what I'm sure is a very busy schedule, to give the listeners a little bit more information about, and some first time information about Carver. And I would hope that those who are listening uh, heard what happens when you put a dollar in Carver. It, and that's something that when we have you back again, we would like to talk about some of the investments, how you have helped various communities based on that process. We'll do that, because that's my way of asking you, would you come back at some point to talk with us again?
Absolutely. I'd love to come back. I've had a lot of fun, and I enjoy talking about what we do because I think it's really making a difference for so many.
And for those who are listening, this interview is on the Greater Harlem Chamber of Commerce's Facebook page, the Harlem Tourism Board, which is another thing. Tourism is becoming a major issue that the governor has developed this understanding, as far as a statewide recruitment for Black tourists coming into New York State in 2023 and 2024. So the Harlem Tourism Board obviously feels that it's a lot of things you can see in New York State, but when you try to get Black tourists to come to New York, I know that they want to come to Harlem at some particular point. So if you are listening and you're planning to come to New York, and you need to go to ATM, you might want to go to Carver Savings Bank to do that. And we'll talk to you about, as the president of the Harlem Tourism Board, I would like to talk to you about how we can maximize this statewide push to get Blacks to come into. That's $1 billion. Black travelers is $1 billion industry
Yeah.
now, which is, she's, even though the governor's a good person, but there's some business behind this initiative. So we should talk about that at some point. But thank you so much for taking time. We would like to have you back at some point, especially if there are any special announcements or anything that you would like to communicate. We would love to be able to help you with doing that.
Yeah, I look forward to it. This is our 75th year, and we will have a number of things underway to celebrate the 75th anniversary of Carver Federal Savings Bank. So we'll certainly have a lot to talk about.
Okay, then. Well, thank you, Michael Pugh, president of Carver Savings Bank. Thank you.
Take care. Bye now.
Bye. And now I hope my co-host Charlene De La Cruz was able to get on. Hey, Charlene, I was worried.
No worries. I'm trying to pull magic from behind the scenes, but I'm happy to be here. Apologize for being a little late.
Well, I actually, if I didn't know that you were there, and I probably didn't check because I wanted you to meet Michael Pugh. I mean, but
Yes, I
it,
would have loved to meet him, but I will say that I love Carver Bank. I've actually worked with Lloyd Dolman. He's the executive director of Carver Bank, and
uh,
he's been such a great partner to a lot of our capacity building programs as well. So I would love to meet him in the future.
well, again, and that's really my bad. I should have really. I was so into the conversation
The
that
conversation was great. So I completely understand it. It was such fascinating information that I didn't even know that 80 cents of a dollar is invested back into the community. So that
and
really,
that you can go to a Chase, even though like you said, we many of us have different banks that we bank with.
yeah,
But now I know I can take my Carver card and go to a Chase Bank and not get charged for it. That was an interest. That's a good deal
yeah,
for
that is
me,
great because, right, you could save yourself $3 to $4 on
right?
that fee going to another bank. So that isn't a great incentive.
And Chase is all over the place, so that,
Yeah.
that helps. But nevertheless, Charlene De La Cruz, for those who uh, didn't hear me give her due at the beginning of the show, is the person that makes the second Tuesday of the month for me a dream because she's there. She's my backup. She is the busiest woman. I even feel guilty trying to reach her because besides the See You Grow program, there's so many things that this lady is doing. And don't let that beautiful smile and pleasant voice fool you. She can be rough too. but tell us a little bit about the See You Grow program, and we want to bring in your guests also, so you can introduce them. But
Yeah,
for
absolutely.
what I didn't do, and I have a question, and I don't want to forget it again because people, what's the qualifications, the basic qualifications for a business to get into the CE Growth program?
Of course. So we actually just launched our seventh cohort this February, which is hard to believe, but we did, and we're now working with that cohort for 2023. However, I will start recruiting for businesses in 2024. And really, I'm looking for three items in terms of eligibility. I'm looking for businesses that has a service or business that's within the building trade. So it could be electricians, it could be carpenters, all the nooks and carry that it takes to build a building. Those are the services that I'm looking for. Um, and you have to have a business revenue of $250,000 up to $5 million. The third requirement is that your business should be eligible to certify as a minority owned or woman owned business, or your business must reside within the Columbia University local catchment area. So let's say you are a plumber and you do have a revenue of over $250,000, but you don't have your certification to be a minority owned business. However, you are eligible to certify as a minority owned business, and I can support you in that after. So, as long as you are eligible to certify, that's what's important because I can connect you with so many different agencies that can help you with that.
Well, again, the work that you have done, and you have a number of people that you've had to stand on the shoulders of, but I must say you have played it forward. You're doing such a wonderful job, and I'm always happy that you put up with me at least
Stop it.
for an hour every second Tuesday. Tell us a little bit about your and introduce your guest and how he relates to the CU Growth program.
So, as you know, Tanya is, the maven of different trades. She always has a different path for us to really maximize our capacity. So, a few years ago, we did partner with Ascend Cities, which I believe I mentioned to you
Mhm.
previously. We created Ascend Regional Program, which is a capacity building program for similar trades within the construction industry that's really focused within New Jersey, Long Island, and New York City. So that made it like the Ascend regional program. And the guest that we've actually have today is actually Austin King. He's from Bradley Brothers. And Austin was such an amazing effort because it's kind of like a father and son duo, but he has such a great light. And I wanted to really showcase his business. He's now an approved vendor of the Columbia University, and he's been working with us on a few projects. And we've always strategizing on ways for him to maximize his capacity with other departments and whatnot. So he's not a CU Grow vendor, but people that we've met through all these different capacity programs, we kind of add them to the honorary CU Grow program because we still take them under our wing. We still try to support ways that they can maximize. So it's really a way and effort that we do within our capacity.
Well, I mean, to be able to have a contract and business relationship with Columbia, you could be CU Grow or you could be Grow UC. It's always good to be, as long as you got that connect. I'm sure that's fine.
Absolutely. So I do want to welcome Austin to kind of like join us, and hopefully we can discuss on your business. Hi, Austin.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. How's it going?
Thanks for your patience, Austin. I hope you took down the information from Carver so that you can say that. Hey,
Oh yeah, Michael was fantastic. I really appreciate it. I really enjoyed him on there. He was great.
So tell the listeners, viewers, and listeners a little bit about your company and about yourself.
Okay. Our company is Brantley Brothers Moving and Storage. We specialize in commercial and residential relocations. We've been in business for over 50 years. Some of our other services include storage, warehousing, modular furniture installation, interstate moving, and project management and logistics services. We're based in Newark, New Jersey. We're about a mile from downtown, and we're about 2 miles from the airport. So we're in an ideal location for some of our services that we offer. We also have port access. So as far as like, shipping, freight hauling and things like that, it just, we're in a good spot.
Well, this obviously is a family business because, if you 50 years ago, I don't even know where you were here.
Yeah, I don't think I was thought in anyone's mind. Yeah, so I'm a third generation moving and storage company. So yeah, it's good to continue the legacy. And my dad is the owner and president, and right now I'm the vice president and the head of business development.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. How did you connect with Columbia University?
Through the Regional Ascend program, I would say, or maybe 2 years ago, we had connected, and they've just been great for my development professionally, and they've just been a great resource for information, connecting us with potential vendors for other contracts, and it's just been fantastic. And the regional program was amazing.
Well, that's interesting. What are some of your kind of let people know who your clients are so that those who are listening may understand whether or not there's a fit with you?
Great. So some of our larger clients are Rutgers University, Columbia University. We do a lot with the Newark Public Schools, Robert Wood Johnson Barnabas. Who else are some of our larger clients, institutional clients? Those are brought in.
Businesses.
With the FBI, the Department of Defense. We have a GSA contract, so we do a lot of GSA work. We also have a contract with the Department of Defense, so we do military moves, non-temp storage, storage in transit. So yeah, those are a couple of our.
Well, I mean, that's a big skip, right?
Yeah, just to name a few. I mean, we've done a lot of work with Audible, Rutgers, PSE&G, Pfizer over the years. So yeah, we're pretty well versed. We've done a lot of work over the years. So.
And what about the small commercial guy who needs to move some of his stuff?
Oh no, mom and pop. We're still accessible
from around the corner.
We still, I tell people no job is too big or too small. So we service large clients, small clients. We're here for everyone.
Because
I would just like to highlight that Brantley Brothers, that you're always your traditional move and storage company. I feel like they've really paved the way in terms of operating in different paths. They can really support a construction site with logistical items. And they can also support a medical facility as well with cold storage. So it's like they really are very expansive. And I feel like sometimes, they get caught up with that mom and pop residential area, but I feel like they really are more expansive than that.
Oh,
Thanks,
that's
Charlene. I really
true.
appreciate that. Yeah, we offer, in a number of different market segments. We do laboratory moves as well. So, just a number of, they have a typical connotation of moving and storage, and it's like we offer a number of services, not just your traditional thought.
Well, I just wanted the mom and pop store that's around the corner just to know.
Oh no, we haven't forgot about them.
I can see them now saying they do well, I can't afford that. How can I compete with Columbia and Rock?
No, we offer free estimates, so just never don't forget about us. We haven't forgot about you guys. So.
Now you only focus on commercial moves at this point.
No, we also do residential. But just from my personal experience, we understand that residential really it really peaks off between March and we would say October when homes primarily go on the market. So you just got to diversify yourself. You can't be overly invested in residential, but we do offer those services.
Okay, well that's always good to know because people are forever moving. It's good.
Only
to
thing
have
constant is change. So yeah,
and plus I think it's something very important to develop a relationship with a company that's been around and as you say, your father, because obviously there's a certain amount of pride in the services and knowing, especially New York, you got to do well to be around that long.
Yeah, I mean, your name looks in volumes, and you just always have to have a good product or service to stay in business. So,
right.
You definitely have to stand on what you do.
So, tell us of some of the things that you feel are important for those who are looking at us now to know about the company. What are some of the things that you feel set your company aside from some others, other than the fact that it's
well, I would really say attention to detail. We've had just so much history that we've done so many performances and so many moves that we understand what it takes. So we've probably seen it all or experienced it all, the intricacies of your move. So that really sets us apart. Whether it be antique furniture, whether it be rigging or any service that you might need, it's just really the detail. Because people are entrusting us with their home, so you really care a lot about it. So you really have to be very thorough in what you do. You can't just overlook it and just think only about your profit margins. You really have to be detailed and really care and really have a passion for what you do.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna please give your email and phone number. I'm writing it down myself because I'll
definitely make sure to give my contact information. Charlene definitely. So yeah, just love to, also do more business in New York. A lot of also sometimes people think of Newark and they always think of like, the city in the shadows. And it's like, we always try to get out of that. But, Newark is been our home. It's a great international city. It's very accessible. It has a great infrastructure. So that's another thing that we really take pride in, being a Newark-based company.
How would people reach you? What's the best way?
I was going to say, whether it be internet, you can call, email, go to our website, BrantleyBros.com. So there's just a number of avenues to connect with us.
So it's BrantleyBrothers.com.
Yeah, BrantleyBros.com.
Well, again, it's very refreshing to see this intergenerational type of,
yeah, we got to carry the baton, right?
Yeah, it's good. Shirley?
Yeah, I mean, when I met Austin, I think that there was some type of kind of like, I know originally you applied to see your program, but we didn't have a fit. And then something else came around and the Ascend Regional program happened. So it's always like there's something that, is not working right now, but we always find a way. And I think that that's something that really represented even additional support and capacity for him, because through the Ascend Regional program, Austin was able to be offered a contract. It's a very unique contract that is offered not to everybody. And he's now has that contract where he can really connect with any department without having kind of like that competitive bid process. A PM can really just call him up and say, hey, I need your services. And I'm very excited that he has that opportunity.
That's a pretty good contract.
Yeah. No, it's been wonderful. Just these capacity building programs are so beneficial. I mean, for the development of your company, and just overall refinement. I mean, it's a lot of things you don't know I mean, they can connect you to lenders, potential contracts. So they're just a great resource for, your business overall. So, I implore anybody, to continue to apply. Don't stop. Go till they tell. Go till they tell you no. Don't have it in your mind and the doubt. Don't let it creep in. So just keep going.
Well, that sounds good. Now, do you have locations throughout the country? Because I know you were doing a lot of stuff.
We do interstate moves, but we only have one location based in Newark. We have two storage facilities, but they're both in Newark. So, but we're just, we primarily are based in the Northeast region, but we do, we tell clients we service as far west as Colorado. We've been doing a lot of moves in California, Los Angeles, Southern California area. Last year, we've done a couple moves in Washington State. So we are expanding a little bit, but, another satellite location would be great. But, maybe Charlene can help us expand and grow and scale.
And this is all ground transportation.
Yeah, it's all physical ground rotation and hauling and trucks. We have, a fleet of over 20 trucks. So, yeah.
Yeah. And wow, that's impressive. And your base is where again?
Newark, New Jersey. We're on Elizabeth Avenue in Newark, New Jersey, about a mile from downtown, about 2 miles from the airport. Right off 78.
Yeah. So that's a pretty good location.
Yeah, it's ideal. To be honest with you, it is really ideal. So we've been very fortunate. Actually, my grandfather in 1975, he had bought the Sears building. It was formerly a Sears building, and that's where we operate out of.
Amazing. That's amazing. No, I feel like it's such an amazing story that just to really have such a great legacy within, starting with your grandfather, your father, and now to seeing you really just flourish and taking the business to another level. I think that just really speaks a lot to Austin's, integrity and his work ethic. So I'm very honored just to kind of like highlight him. And I hope that, your Harlem listeners just understand that he's able to really support this, any needs that you have as very small to very high tech level support.
And one of the things that is not always known is a service like yours, a business like yours with the legacy that is behind it. It allows for people to feel a little bit more comfortable, I would say, because you can't be around for 50 years and not do something right. So
yeah. The name recognition definitely helps a lot. It's definitely opened a lot of doors, and people just are able to reference it. And then when you tell your story, or people tell you, "I've seen your trucks" or something like that, it just really, I feel like I can't, explain or describe, but it really just, we're really proud of it to be in service for so long.
Well, I'll start keeping an eye out, and I will also give those who I know, and I'm writing it down now, even though I have it, but I just want to make sure that I remember. But I know Charlene will help me if I.
Absolutely.
But it was what would you like to say your goal would be for let's say a year from now? Where would you like to be if you could accomplish what you wanted to accomplish?
I just extend our service area, to be honest with you. Like as you mentioned before, just having one physical location, maybe to just get another satellite location, so we can just extend our service base. We understand that between New York and DC, that 1/3 of the nation's population is in that area. So we want to just be able to continue to extend our service area, and that'll be able to put us in different market segments. We understand that self-storage is such an expansive industry right now. So if we can get more into self-storage, I think that's where we're looking to get into.
And that's interesting. Yeah, especially now that people, after the pandemic, realize that they don't need all of the stuff that they have.
Right. Things aren't as essential, and then you can just put things in different places. And that was one of the unique things. Robert Wood Johnson Barnabas had solicited us to do some work with their ventilators, and working with other companies that companies need storage, and people need storage and to access things. So
and it makes sense, even whether it's commercial or not.
Residential
the
side.
idea is that when you're moving, you always find stuff that you might not want to throw away, but you want to keep. So
yeah, you realize you're a hoarder once you start moving. It's like I can't let go. So.
Right. So that makes sense. That would be probably a really good connection, because not only do you move the stuff from their house to another house, but you can also move the stuff to the storage location that you own.
Exactly.
That makes a lot of sense. Well, again, Charlene, I can't say enough about you. You bring these people who are so talented, and without your help, we wouldn't know about the type of services that is being rendered in many different ways, especially with Austin. So uh, thank you so much,
Yeah,
Austin, for
my
taking
pleasure.
time.
No, thank you. I
And
really appreciate it. I really appreciate the opportunity, and thanks again for Charlene. I mean, she's over the past 2 or 3 years, she's just been so vital to our company. She's so responsive. She helps me with anything, my capability statement or anything I need. So I just can't say I can't say thank you enough. I really am indebted to her.
well, over the years, we've had so many people come through saying those things about Miss De La Cruz that people wonder, well, how does she sleep? I mean, she's a mother. How does she, what,
Days after Sunday.
how does she do all of
Always
these
on
things?
call. I mean, I just cannot say enough. She's just always been there, a great anchor
And it's
for us.
not just you. It's all of these different programs that she keeps the same type of
Yeah,
focus on.
whether it be the Ascend program, the CU Grow program, you name it. I mean, she just does so much for some of these small businesses, and with Columbia. So, I mean, but it's just a really unique time with the Manhattanville project with Columbia. I mean, they have so much going on that it's just a really, really,
Yeah,
really.
that I mean, your son will be able to do moving just with Columbia.
That's cool, right? I hope so.
And also just to kind of like share, like I feel that my energizer is knowing that Austin got an opportunity, or anybody that I'm connected to that asks for help. If they got help, that's my energizer. So a lot of times it's like, yes, I'm working and I'm doing and I'm managing different aspects, but at the end, I know that he's getting help, she's getting help, or all the different people are getting access to these opportunities that sometimes is in the hush hush, just not being told or whatnot. No, I know somebody that can help you with that. And that's really the energizer that gives me the energy to continue on, because I know that they're being helped.
And Charlene, before we leave, I don't know whether you did this, but just put the See You Grow information so that people, if they want to get more information on See You Grow, that they can do so. And
Yeah,
and
absolutely. So you can always reach out to me at cugrow@columbia.edu, and our website is cugrow.columbia.edu. So right now there is an interest form for people. Once you go to that website, just click on that interest form, submit your information. Once we're in the process of doing recruitment for the following year, I will reach out to you.
well, Austin, thank you. Charlene, thank you. And of course, Mike Pugh, who was our first guest. Thank you all for giving us a great deal of information. Learned a lot today. And and when I move, I'm going to call you, my brother.
Oh, please do. I wouldn't expect any less. Please do. I got you, my brother. Anything you need.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
remind him of that.
Okay, well, thank you. And I know a number of people are going to be moving soon, so I'm going to definitely.
Well, our
Matter of
peak
fact,
season's right around the corner. I know homes will be going on the market, so I'm anticipating it.
maybe we could do some bartering.
Oh yeah.
That's coming back.
Oh
We have
man,
to do a show
New
on
York City
bartering.
people are such hustlers, man.
All right, then. Thank you
Thank you
both.
so much.
And again, this is our final minute that we have, and I would like to again thank Charlene, Austin, and Michael for being guests on the show. We'll be back next week, God willing. And actually, next week we'll have a special show. Many of you may or may not know, but 420 is the cannabis celebration that has been going on for years. And now that it's legal, we're going to do a special show on the health benefits, which is something that many people don't understand because of the misinformation that's come out. But there's some real factual information that we want to let people know, especially seniors like myself. Some of the things that you're taking pharmaceuticals for, you might not have to do that anymore. So anyway, that's another story, another mindset, and just want to let people know that's what's coming up next week, God willing. But thank you so much for your time, and I got your number. or you'll hear, you'll probably hear, since we're in Soul City, people will say, Tony told me to give you a call. so, so so I hope that happens, but I don't know. People always use my name, but you can do that though. If you're listening to the show today, you can call us and say, yeah, Tony said that I should call you. You can do that. And
I love that. Thank you so much. I appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you.
Take care.
Take care.
Thank you. Have a
Thank
great
you,
one.
guys. Thank you so much. And again, thank you, Matt McCoy and the Soul City team, for giving us a platform to allow for people to hear and see people that usually you might not see. That's the beauty, and one of the reasons why you should always do whatever you can to support the Black media, because you're able to have the narrative reflective of who you are. And again, we have to work with each other in order to make ourselves strong. So until next week, this is Tony Rogers, host of Urbanology Systems, or as my mother would say, it's William Anthony Rogers, host of Urbanology System. We will see you next week. Take care. Bye.
This is Kier Rogers, and you're listening to Urbanology with my dad, Tony Rogers, on WHCR 90.3 FM New York.